This is a brief tutorial on how to use Pinterest to curate and share resources. First, you're going to want to create an account. You can sign up with Facebook or with an email account. Once you've created your account, you're going to log in, and you can log in with Facebook, with Google, with Twitter, or with your email account, which is what I will do. As soon as you're logged into Pinterest, it takes you to your wall, which is basically a live feed of any pins that you've recently pinned or that other pinners you are following have recently pinned. You can pin directly from this wall. So if I want to pin this 10 things every student should know about Google Scholar, I can simply click on Pin It. I can choose to pin it to my Google Apps for Education board. And my boards are organized alphabetically. Notice I can also create a new board from this area. And then I simply click Pin It, and that is now pinned to my Google Apps board so that I can find it later. I can also send this pin to a fellow pinner if I want. I can locate that pinner by email address. I can also include a message with the pin I send, telling them why I'm sending it to them perhaps. In addition to sending pins, you can also simply like a pin and just click on the heart icon. If you're new to Pinterest, you'll want to go ahead and start creating some boards. In the top right, the plus sign allows you to upload a pin, add content from a website, or create a board. Let's say that I'd like to create a board on open educational resources. You're going to want to name your board so that others know what your board is about, give it a description, and categorize it. I will categorize this as education. You can also add maps for location pinning, or you can choose to make a board a secret board. So perhaps you're planning a surprise party and you don't want all of the resources you're curating to be publicly visible to anyone. So then you simply click create your board. And if I want to find more pins to add to my open educational resources board, I can search Pinterest in the top left up here. Oops. And I can have Pinterest show all pins or just my pins, so I can see if perhaps I've already pinned some, and I can see that I have pinned OER resources to some of my previously existing boards. I can also search by board, so perhaps I want to see if others have begun curating boards on open educational resources. I can see that they have, and I'm actually following one of them already. I can choose to follow more from here. You can also search Pinterest for pinners, and I was fairly certain that I wouldn't find anyone named open educational resources. But if you wanted to search for a certain person, you could put their name in and search by pinners. So going back to my pins, if I decide that 7 things to know before using OER is a good pin for me to add to that board, I can simply again click pin it, and I can go and find that open educational resources board that I recently created. I have a lot of boards, as you can see, and I can pin it. I can also go ahead and edit the description. Perhaps I'd like to add something to the description. This is a good time to think about what kinds of keywords you're using to describe this pin, because your pins are searchable, so that will help you to be able to find that pin later. So it's important, just basically like cataloging. And then I can click pin it, and now I've added that pin to my board. Okay. Also in the top left, I can preview boards by categories. So if I want to search for pins that have been categorized as education, I can do that. The little number 2 with the thumbtack icons is my notifications area. When I click on that, it tells me recent notifications. So it tells me when someone has pinned something or has started following one of my boards. So I can scroll through and just see what kind of activity has been happening with my Pinterest account. when I click on the icon of of my image, I have options to find friends, follow boards, visit the help center. I can log out. I can go to my settings where I can change my password and edit some information, but I can also decide what kinds of notifications do I want to receive when people either repin my pins, like my pins, follow a board. And I choose to just have a daily digest so that I only get one email a day instead of sometimes um, hundreds perhaps. You can join Pinterest to any of your other social networks if you want to. But your profile and pins area is an important area. This is where you can see your profile and you can edit it. It's a good idea to include some information about yourself so that others can decide whether they want to follow you or not. I can also see on my dashboard how many boards I have, how many pins I've pinned, how many things I've liked. I can send my profile to someone if I want to. I can see how many followers I have, and I can see how many people I'm following. I can also scroll down. I can create a board from this page. I can hover over any of my boards and change the cover. I simply click on change cover and I can scroll through, and it will actually scroll through all of the pins on that board until you find the one that you would like to use as the cover for that board. I can see how many pins I have in each of these boards, and I can edit the boards as well from here. You can also drag your boards and rearrange them. So you can drag them around, but it's opening that board, so I didn't want to do that. But you can drag your boards around to put them in a certain order. You can also have group boards if you'd like to collaborate on curating. And I have a few group boards, so let me see if I can show you one of them. So this CSLA board is a group board. I can see that by the three little people icon, and I can see who is curating this board. So Jane Lofton is actually invited me to be part of this board with another person. So any of us can add pins to this board and can edit this board. So that could be useful if you want to share boards with other teachers, other librarians, or even students could create boards to curate resources for a research project, perhaps. You can also, under the settings area, you can actually under Visit Help Center, you can search for Add Pin button, and it will give you directions and information on how to add this pin button, which allows you to pin content from a website. So if I want to go to the CSLA website and I click on the Pin It button, it will actually pull up all of the images from that website, and I can choose which images I would like to pin. Now if I want to, the other thing it will do is I can actually highlight text on a page, and I'm just going to Control Copy. Now when I click the Pin It button, that text that I highlighted will actually show up on all of my pins. So if I wanted to include that information about the Digital Citizenship Summit, when I pin it, and then from here I can just pin it and I can find my digital citizenship board. And then I could pin this with the information that I actually copied and pasted from the web page that goes with the image. So I could paste that, pin that onto my board. The other thing that you can do is you can add widgets, and that is also in the settings area or in the Visit Help Center area. It will tell you how to add widgets to your blog or your website with the Pin It button, so that if someone is visiting your blog or website, they can quickly pin things that you have shared to their pin boards. One of the other issues with Pinterest is copyright, and so you'll want to keep copyright issues in mind when you are pinning, and Pinterest will notify you if someone doesn't like the fact that you've pinned something from their website if they feel it's a copyright violation. And so you can learn more about that and visit Help Center and just do a search for copyright, and you can read all about that. And that is Pinterest in a nutshell.